We talk about our final results for the Mazda6, a looming deadline for Volkswagen diesel owners, and we take your questions next on Talking Cars. Welcome to Talking Cars. I'm Jennifer Stockberger.
I'm Mike Monticello.
And I'm Mike Quincy.
So we're going to jump right in with the news and the ongoing saga that is the Volkswagen Dieselgate. There's kind of a deadline approaching for owners, but maybe, Mike, you can give us some of the background and context of the whole issue.
Yeah, so the background to Dieselgate, the Volkswagen Dieselgate, for those of you that either don't know about it or it's been a while.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. It's been an ongoing saga. Back in 2015, Volkswagen admitted that they had been cheating with the emissions test on their turbo diesels, and they had this sophisticated software algorithm that could have the car be in dyno mode when it was, doing its emissions test, and then it would go into, on-road mode the rest of the time. So when it was in the on-road mode, it could, produce as much as 40 times the federal limit for nitrogen oxides, or NOx. And so the reality is they got caught. In 2016, there was a settlement. They've had to pay out billions of dollars, and they're, making restitution for the owners who, felt that they were buying this clean diesel. That was the big thing. This was the clean diesel.
Well, that's how they marketed it.
Yeah.
I mean, you looked up the ads for Volkswagen during that time, and it said clean, big bold letters, clean diesel, and it was not even close to it.
Right.
Yeah, and so they got caught, and now they're trying to rectify all that, and so people have to decide whether they're gonna have the cars be bought back,
right.
Are they gonna have the car fixed, but if you want this money that they're gonna pay you have to submit a claim very soon now, and most owners have already done that.
Right, and that's the news, that the deadline for doing that is September 1st. You either decide I'm going to sign up and have my car fixed, and I'm going to keep it, or I'm going to take this buyback, which is generous.
The car can be fixed anytime. That's ongoing. You can always have bring the car back to have it fixed for free.
Right.
But if you want this money, that's not a never-ending process.
Right.
You can't laze around forever.
Right.
I procrastinate. I'm a writer. That's what we do. But if you want this money,
you have a decision to
make. You need to get on it pretty soon.
Right. And just to give a little education, the nitrous oxides are a health issue. Inflammation of the airways, they contribute to smog and acid rain, particulates, fine particulates in the atmosphere that have ill health effects too. So it is important.
Yeah. And more than anything, it's just a bummer. I mean, I have loved diesels for a long time.
Right. It tarnishes diesels.
It tarnishes diesels, I don't know, and everyone, people loved their TDIs. Yeah. I mean, it was almost like a cult thing.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
it drove so well.
It broke my heart when this happened, primarily because a lot of things we do here is we recommend cars to people, friends and neighbors, everybody asking what car to buy. And a friend of mine was looking for a smallish kind of wagon.
Yep.
And I said, oh, you've got to check out the Volkswagen diesels. They're awesome. Yeah. The last model in our testing got 37 miles per gallon overall.
The range.
600 miles of cruising range on the highway. To me, it was such an awesome car, and I'm so sad because it's like it's given diesels a black eye, and Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche, Mercedes stopped selling diesels, which is really just such a shame.
Yeah.
That said, we still have a couple diesels in our fleet. I mean, we have a Chevy Equinox diesel.
Right.
We have a Chevy Cruze diesel. So we're still going to continue to test diesels, and I think they still, are viable. They still get really good fuel economy. You just can't be cheating anymore.
Right.
And I think, they're going to be a lot more strict about making sure that people aren't cheating with these software systems.
The other thing that it has driven, and I don't know if we've talked about it is we, Consumer Reports, will begin doing some on-road emissions testing. So we've purchased that equipment. It was quite a learning curve to get the equipment up and running, longer certainly than I thought. We do have some Volkswagen diesels that we are going to fix and see what the differences are. And to your point, this dyno mode, the car's running on the dynamometer is a very different test than when they're out and we're real world driving.
Right.
So that's what, that's where the industry is headed. That's what Europe's doing, is this on-road emissions testing. So that's kind of led us in that direction as well.
Yeah, and just, that 40 times the legal limit, that was under full load and full acceleration.
Right.
in normal driving, it's more like 10 to 20 times over the limit, which is still, the bottom line is they cheated. It doesn't matter really how many times over. The point is they intended to cheat. It wasn't like they made a mistake. They intended to cheat. They intended to cheat the system, and now we need to move on. Hopefully, this will never happen again. Maybe diesels can, the
hopefully
black mark can go away.
They can make a comeback. But the law enforcement about this has said they're saying to every auto company, don't do this again, because there are Volkswagen executives that are in jail right now.
So, and huge fines. So we'll see. So make your decisions by September 1st. So the second news item, kind of quick, but kind of different, is that there was a recall by Subaru on the brand new Ascent for about 293 vehicles that were physically missing welds from their B-pillar
I thought it was your job. I thought it was your job.
It was a robot. It was a robot's fault.
That is my.
It was a robot's fault. It was not my fault for once.
You think of recalls often as being a design flaw. This is actually a production flaw, which when a car's new, and we talk about be careful of cars in their first model year, they have to work out not just the design kinks, but the production kinks. And this surely sounds like a production kink.
I mean, it's rare.
Very rare.
It doesn't happen often, and I'm really glad what you said about first-year reliability hiccups. And sad to say, this also happened with the Subaru Impreza. After the redesign. So
growing pains.
Yes.
So just to put it in context, only 293 vehicles in the recall. Our understanding is that of that 293, only a small portion of those were even sold to owners. And what makes it kind of unique is they're replacing the whole car.
Yeah, the ones, most of them were either on dealer lots or in transit, and Subaru's going to, get rid of all of those. The people who already bought the ones affected will get new ones. I assume if they want a new one, who knows, maybe they won't want a new one. But, and the problem is that when you're missing welds from the B-pillar, it's potentially could be, it makes the car less strong in a crash. And that's the main safety thing here. Subaru found this out through an inspection. They realized this had happened. It was just from a very specific period of time. It was from the ones that were produced from July 13th through July 21st. We have an Ascent, and it was produced before that, so our vehicle is not affected.
Which is good, because we are in the process of testing that car, so it's not going to hold us up. We don't have to wait for a new one to do anything.
And so many Consumer Reports members love Subaru, all things Subaru. As soon as we started talking about the Ascent, we did the first video. When are you done testing? This is an obvious news item that our viewers and readers want to know about.
We had a coworker who asked me, should I get one right away? And I think Gabe and I were talking to her, and we said, you might want to wait a little bit and let them work out the kinks. And this is just an example of that.
Yeah, this is a major kink, but also, in the end, hopefully just a minor problem because they found it so quickly. So few vehicles had it. So
tiny numbers.
Yeah.
So moving to news from our track, that's industry news, but news from the track is that we have completed testing of the Mazda6. So that will appear in ratings shortly, but overall, sense, Mike?
Well, I liked the Mazda6 before. This redesigned one, I still like it very much. It's interesting because it actually is, in our testing, it was a little bit slower than the previous version, and it got a little worse fuel economy, and it's a little heavier. And those three things, a little slower. Usually they're a little bit quicker. Somehow still get better fuel economy, and partially because they're a little bit lighter. This one's a little heavier, and a lot of that is because they tried to make this a more refined car. The Mazda6, one of its few knocks against it, it's been the sporty car of the mid-sized sedan segment. If you like sporty driving, this is probably the one to get. But it's a little loud inside, it rides a little stiff.
The old one.
The old one, correct. Yeah, thanks for clarifying. This new one now rides better, it's quieter, has a nicer interior, it's more refined, but, but it still handles really well. Maybe not quite as sharp as before. But so, I think it's a car that will appeal to more people.
That's what I was just going to say. Do you think it's going to appeal more to the masses?
Well, and it's a classic example of how the numbers in our testing don't necessarily add up to how the car is better than how the numbers look.
Right.
I think.
I don't think you're going to get into this car and be like, oh man, it's way slower than before, because it's not way slower. It is a little bit slower, but you're not going to say, oh, I can't drive it now.
It's still geared appropriately that when you step on it and you want to merge in traffic, it's not running out of breath.
Right.
And it was never a speed demon before
No,
anyway. Let's
no,
remember, this is.
But the way you started this is like, kind of like the Mazda 6. I love the Mazda 6. I think this is a great car. I think this is a perfect alternative. If you've had a couple of Accords, a couple of Camrys, you want something a little bit livelier, I would definitely check out the Mazda 6.
And we've said for a long time, Mazda's one of the most overlooked manufacturers out there.
Well, and a lot, it's been called the BMW, for people that maybe aren't as well heeled, or maybe just are a little smarter with their money.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's got that, it's got that kind of BMW sporty feel to it, but I think it's also worth noting. So we got the regular 4-cylinder, but there is a turbo 4-cylinder as well.
Which we had the chance to drive.
We rented one, we drove it, and it has 227 horsepower. Turbo 4-cylinder, and it really does make the car quite a bit nicer. I mean, obviously it's quicker. Probably going to pay a penalty. We didn't test it, so we can't say for fuel economy, but probably going to pay a penalty over the regular car in fuel economy. But it is a nicer car to drive.
I think we all would agree that turbo was a little.
If you can afford the price premium, I think the turbo is definitely worth getting.
What's the price premium?
It's about $3,500.
Substantial.
And our the model that we tested was the touring model. It was about 26 and change. And you get a power driver's seat, a sunroof, dual zone climate control.
This is our car.
This is our car, the touring model. So stepping up to the Grand Touring, it is more money, but you get that sweet engine. And from what I remember when we had it, there was like no turbo delay. There was no lag. It was a smooth, refined power delivery, and really it made you think this is a Mazda 6.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean question mark?
Yeah, because it was so nice.
Yeah.
And the fit and finish was just on par with some of the nicest European cars, I think.
And safety equipment standard.
Yeah.
In this version as well.
Yeah,
so that was important too.
Like I said, it's going to appeal to more people.
Right.
And those who really like the car, I don't think they're going to be disappointed because you're not going to feel those the slightly less acceleration. You might notice the fuel economy.
Yep.
But you're going to like the better ride. You're going to like the quieter, and you still have your sharp handling that you had, almost as good as before. And it's still a fun car to drive. That's the most important thing. That's what this car has been about, and it still is about that.
Yeah, and as soon as we got to finish testing it, the keys are always signed out.
Yeah, so there's
some of you people are real hogs with the car keys.
As we've already said, that's the true game.
You could share every once in a while.
Do you have to fight over the keys or not? Yeah. So we also have some questions from our listeners.
Yay, viewer questions.
Keep them coming. We always love them. TalkingCars@iCloud.com. We actually have two video questions today, and we're going to start with John from San Francisco.
Hi, Talking Cars. Thanks for taking the question. Looking to buy a fun weekend car. Budget's about $30,000. I live in San Francisco, so automatic transmission, something short, easy to park, and sporty. Reliability is important to me as well. Cars I'm thinking about are the new 2019 Miata, Mazda 3, Volkswagen GTI, Audi A3, a used S3, a used Cayman or Boxster, maybe even used BMW 228i or M2. Not sure about the reliability on those though. Thank you very much for the advice.
So thank you, John. So typically when we have questions, we sometimes discuss it before. But I thought it would be really fun to not discuss it.
Our choices.
Today, our choices.
Our advice.
Because John's got some pretty
Why?
clear
So
criteria.
That we can really argue? Is that what
Well,
you want? You want to?
I think it'll be interesting to tell
You're
John.
pitting us
and
against
everybody-
each other?
Maybe. We'll see what happens. But we did not discuss
I
it.
got
We
a
came
hurt
in
thumb.
blind.
I can't punch today.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about your third thumb. So John says 30K.
Yeah.
In the city, easy to park, automatic, reliable. So at least maybe we'll narrow his choices to 3 if we don't agree. But go ahead, Mike.
Well, I had, the list of cars that he was talking about was really, but it was nice. It was really appealing.
Yeah.
A few hiccups with the automatic and the reliable, so that kind of took out a few of my choices. But I thought he said weekend car, implying fun. Toyota 86.
Yeah.
Okay, that wasn't on his list.
That wasn't on his
I
list,
know.
but that's good.
I know. I'm looking outside the list. I'm saying, okay, you're probably not thinking about this one, but check out the Toyota 86 because it has great steering, incredible handling,
great
probably
handling car.
one of the best track cars I've ever driven.
Yeah.
And I thought you're out in California, you're not worried about like snow and stuff like that. You've got rear wheel drive. I would totally check that
Small
one
enough
out.
to maneuver in the
Yes,
city.
and that's easy to park. So that's my that would be my choice in this situation.
Yeah.
Even with the automatic.
Yeah, I much prefer that car with the manual, no question about it.
Well, I think, many of those cars, to
yeah,
your point,
and so
we
that's
would have
why,
preferred.
for me, like, immediately I was, like, just crushed when he said, automatic only. I'm like,
Exactly.
You're killing me, man. You're
Exactly.
killing me here.
But when you have
Because
to
these
drive
cars,
in San Francisco, you can get
whatever.
that.
You know
too.
what? I lived in LA for years, and I
flat.
sometimes have a 2.5 hour commute in a manual transmission. I wouldn't.
Up Mulholland Drive.
I wouldn't shy away from whatever. The point is, my pick is either go with a used car, and I would say go with a Porsche Boxster, a 2012 or 2013. Now that's a generation change there between the 12 to the 13, but they're both fall right about under his 30,000
Yeah,
mark.
so I was going to say, in my studying, you had to get to 13 to get to the 30K.
And now there's a couple cool things. Obviously, the Boxster's an amazing car, period.
Yep.
And but the PDK, the dual clutch automatic that they have for that car is one of the better ones out there. So if you're going to be stuck with an automatic, I think it's not bad to be stuck with that. And also, the nice thing about the Boxster, because it's a convertible, you put that top down, and now suddenly your visibility is awesome. Right. It's got the front and rear trunks. I think it'll be super fun weekend car, so.
Okay. All right, so maybe I was a little more practical. I said Mazda 3. So again, I'm on the Mazda train. But
I thought that was the odd duck in his list. Actually.
Well, it's certainly kind of the least sporty.
Yeah.
It's
not,
the least
not that it's a bad car.
sporty, but
We like the Mazda 3,
absolutely.
but
so I said practical. 23 miles per gallon in the city. So it was one of the better city fuel economy cars. The hatch, the whole thing, makes it a great, I think, versatile weekend car. Excellent reliability, which he talked about. I think it's cool looking. And I think you can make it even cooler looking with some
and
accessories.
we've totally got you beat for cost of ownership, by the way.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes.
He didn't say anything about cost of ownership.
Standard safety, automatic emergency braking, et cetera, on the Mazda 3.
Well, the nice thing about your choices is they're brand new, whereas is my pick, he's going used, and you always take a little bit of a
So
chance.
fun. Not one of us agreed.
I was
We had
positive
very different
for a second there
philosophies.
when you said fun weekend car. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're picking the same car. It's
But that's how the question was raised. And one of my first thoughts was a Mini Cooper.
Yes.
But then I thought reliability.
Reliability.
'cause
He
that's,
said it. John said it. Yeah.
Well, I actually thought about the 86 as soon as you
did?
Yeah, I totally did, but it wasn't on his list, and I try to follow the rules. Quince, maybe you don't. So, whatever.
He stepped outside the box. Well, hopefully, we helped John and narrowed your list, if nothing else.
Or made it more confusing.
And made it more confusing, one of the two. So we have another video question, another list to choose from. Get ready. Take a listen.
Hi, Talking Cars. I've been a fan of the magazine since the 80s when I got my first car. And now that I discovered the show, I never miss an episode. Anyway, here's my question. I've leased a Ford C-Max Energy. I've leased the car for a year and a half now. I love it. What should I replace it with in 2019, next year, when the lease expires? First choice is the Volvo XC40, Ford Escape, the Mitsubishi Outlander. And then the last choice, if I finally cannot get a plug-in hybrid, would be the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. Thanks in advance for your advice or your opinion. I look forward to hearing it.
Okay, so very different type of car. I got the impression maybe a hatch or a small SUV, certainly on the hybrid or electric green type of train. So we'll start with you. Who would we start with, Mike? We'll start with you, Mike.
Sure, throw it to me.
Throw it to you.
One of the mics.
One of them.
So I would say, for the Volvo XC40, part of the problem is some of these cars that he's talking about, we haven't driven yet.
Right.
So like the XC40, we've driven the regular XC40. The plug-in hybrid is coming in 2019. The electric is supposed to come in 2020. But the XC40 itself ranks about mid-pack.
Yeah, but we have enough experience with the XC40.
in our luxury
Right.
compact SUVs, and it isn't recommended. So,
Right.
The Ford Escape is the plug-in hybrid supposed to come in 2019, full electric in 2020. Again, we haven't driven that, so we don't know. And then the Outlander. Why?
Yeah.
Why the Outlander? Okay, let's just move on from the. It's just
Great,
not. It's
good
just
Wait
not
a
a very
minute.
good vehicle.
Value.
This is the C-Max replacement.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Right. But I mean, the Outlander is just not a very good vehicle. It ranks pretty low in our ratings.
Ponderous handling.
So,
that was the words I took out of our.
I really dragged that out.
I'm at the edge of my
Yeah.
seat. You got to get to this.
So I decided on Toyota RAV4 hybrid.
Okay.
And so the nice thing about that is, I mean, it's a Toyota. It's very practical. Gets 31 miles per gallon overall in our testing. Standard advanced safety features, much better than average reliability.
Yeah.
The problem is the fuel economy is, that's considerably down from what, he'd be getting with a C-Max hybrid or
but
C-Max
still,
Energy.
but among
still
the best
decent.
of the small SUVs.
But
in our test.
I have one other option because I like to give people more for their money,
I had
and
one.
that is the Kia Niro. Now you're talking stolen.
You just took my thunder.
Then I will let you talk. I will let you talk about the
All right,
Kia
you
Niro.
talk about the Kia.
My thing, 43 mpg, and has utility close to an SUV.
Right, so yeah, my pick was the Kia Niro. I figured you were going to say like the Chevrolet Bolt, because the plug-in.
Yeah. You know why I thought about that, and it's very fun to drive, but the ride is really stiff and the seats are uncomfortable.
Right.
I think it's difficult. It might be difficult for someone to live with that. They need to fix those couple things, and then I would recommend that.
So the Niro, which is a pretty good hybrid in our testing, not so great with the braking performance, but outside of that, I mean, the Niro has better seats than the Bolt, like you said, easy to use controls.
It's recommended.
Hatchback practicality. And they're offering a plug-in hybrid. Right. So if you're going from plugging in your C-Max to another kind of idea where you can getting a certain amount of electric-only range, I would definitely check out the Kia Niro. I think this is a car that really flies under the radar. And really the most important reason to pick a Niro is it just doesn't look as dorky as a Prius. Because you can get a plug-in Prius.
Yeah.
The Prius's styling has not aged well for me at all.
Well,
I like technically I like what the car does, but boy,
the new one's
way it
pretty
looks,
funky looking, especially the plug-in hybrid.
Right.
The Prius Prime. And that is one of the cool things about the Niro is that it looks so normal.
Right.
And actually looks a little bit sporty, even though it doesn't really drive.
I like the Niro a lot when we tested it.
Right.
What about your pick?
So we are aligned much more than the previous list because I also said the RAV4 hybrid.
Okay.
If for no other reason than
Great minds think alike.
the hybrid experience that Toyota has. The reliability of the Prius, and it just is already
you
built
can't knock
in.
the RAV4.
Whereas
and you don't have to
you're
plug it
saying-
in.
Right.
Yeah.
Volvo's new to it.
Right.
Yeah.
That we don't know yet. We know that Toyota makes a super reliable, great hybrid.
Absolutely.
That's a good choice.
Stellar reliability, standard safety. I'll go back to the standard safety. And I also wrote Bolt ?
Yeah.
Like maybe it's worth
it's
taking
worth
a
looking
ride.
into. Worth
taking
looking
a ride.
This is the greatest automotive minds ever, right here.
Oh gosh, that's frightening. All right, so we have a couple non-video questions. First one, my dad recently went ahead and bought a 2018 Mitsubishi Outlander ES. Last episode, you talked about buying cars for CR, and it was very eye-opening, especially Jennifer's story about the salesman. That's a great story. My question is, how can I avoid salesman lies during price negotiations? I think I could have saved my dad another $2,000. So as we said last week, we get to buy a lot. So what would be your main advice?
Main advice is be ready to walk away.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, 100% of the time, it's not like the old days when there was one or two manufacturers that made good cars, and so there was, a standing line of people trying to buy a Honda in the 1980s. It's not like that anymore. There's so many good cars out there. There's no reason to put up with grief from a dealer that's giving you the runaround or whatnot. So pick a different model, because we often say, a great deal on a lousy car or a lousy experience isn't worth it.
Right.
And for me, I bought 141 cars for the Consumer Reports test program. My time is worth something.
Right.
So I'm not going to spend my time messing around with a dealer that is trying to do all the dirty tricks in the book.
Yeah.
I was just going to elaborate. You said pick a different model.
Yeah. Right.
I would even add to that, pick a different dealer, even if you're set on the same model.
Right. So
be willing to go to another Mitsubishi dealer if you're unhappy with the way one is.
I mean, the Outlander is a small SUV. how many small SUVs out? There's tons of them.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, for us, when we buy cars, we usually know. We know exactly the model and the trim that we want. So for most people, they have to go do a little shopping first, a little driving. But once you know the car you want, I usually approach 3 to 4 dealers when I'm buying a car for Consumer Reports. And whoever gives me the best deal, I'm gonna go with, or whoever gives me the reasonable deal first, I'm gonna go with. I'll tell the guy, you give me a reasonable deal right now, we're making a sale.
Or is the nicest to work with.
Exactly. And so, but the other thing is, go into these negotiations armed with knowledge, and that's the great thing about the internet, is you can look a bunch of stuff up. There's several ways you can kind of know what's a good price, because I think what people care is you want a good deal, but you also don't want to feel like everyone else is getting a better deal than you.
Right.
So there's Consumer Reports. We have something called Build and Buy feature. You can go and you can look, and there's several other things like this on the internet where you can go and look up what is the basically average price people are paying for that vehicle. When you go to the dealer, you can tell them that, and most likely they're going to honor that deal because that's what people are paying. When you show up armed with information, now they know, okay, this person knows their stuff. Okay. Kind of meet in the middle between the cost of the car to the dealer and the MSRP, and everyone comes away happy. They make some money, you save some money.
I've also had dealers tell me that when they see customers walking in, especially with Consumer Reports price information printout, they know they're serious.
Right.
Because
or they've at least done their due diligence ahead.
And so to that salesperson, this customer is a hot lead. This customer is probably going to plunk down their money.
Right. They're not just window shopping, is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And that be armed, I would elaborate more. It's even more important for women. We still do get the stereotype. I've had them say to me, "Would you like to go home and discuss this with your husband?" No, I'm good. But yeah, so even more important.
Your story from last episode, I can't believe it. People need to go watch last week's episode.
Yeah, it was funny. It was quite entertaining.
I had never heard that story.
We have stories. We have car buying stories.
By the hundreds, probably. Yeah. So, all right. Last question. It's time to upgrade my 2007 Toyota Camry Hybrid (parentheses which I love). Says, I'm thinking of spending $50,000 on a luxury sports sedan, and I'm looking for something unconventional. The Alfa Romeo Giulia TI and the Kia Stinger GT are on my mind. I know that the Audi A4, BMW 3 Series, Mercedes-Benz C-Class are safe bets, but that's what everyone gets. What do you think? We'll start with you this time, Mike.
So I would, between the Giulia and the Stinger, I would stay away from the Giulia.
I would too.
I mean, it's ranked dead last in our luxury compact ratings. It has odd controls, convoluted infotainment system. It's a little bit kind of herky-jerky off the line, the way the automatic works. And it's funny. It's one of those cars that the harder you drive it, the better it drives. But what if you don't want to be driving hard all the time?
Right.
And so it's just got some.
Yeah.
Right, it's got some odd things about it that, it's the Kia Stinger though, it's great things about that. It handles really well. I mean, that was the other thing. I was gonna say, I don't want to just totally bag on the Alfa Giulia. It's a great handling car, very sporty drive. The Stinger is also a great handling car, looks really cool, has kind of a more normal interior. And what's neat about this person, they're looking for the GT, which is, which is the turbo V6 with 365 horsepower. We have the 2-liter turbo 4.
Right.
So
and it's still good.
It's still good, but we rented some of these GT cars, and they're awesome. I mean, they are really good. So I would say, go for the Stinger. I totally get the not wanting to drive what everyone else is driving, but I would say this. There's a reason the Audi A4 and BMW 3 Series are both at the top of our ratings and the top of people's shopping list. That's because they're really good cars. The
Which
Stinger,
you do,
Stinger is a good car too. It's not quite as well rated as those cars, but you know what? If you're looking for something a little different, I say go for the Stinger.
Yep. Mike?
Looking for something a little different, check out the Genesis G70. That is, I think, one of the better, unsung heroes out there. We rented a G70 from Genesis and loved it. It is wonderfully balanced, great steering, elegant interior, easy to use controls. And I think, this person sounds like they hang out with other car people. I mean, this person is cognizant of Audis and BMWs, Mercedes-Benz. So I say, take your friends for a ride in your new G70. And they're going to be amazed at how little, comparatively, you spent on this car and just how nice it is.
Well, and the key thing with the G70, if the Genesis G70 people don't know, it's based on the Kia Stinger. It's basically like a slightly more luxurious, slightly better riding, nicer Stinger.
So, and you know what? My thought when I read this question was, why not another Camry hybrid? And I know he said
That's quite,
unconventional.
by the way, that's quite the swap to go from a Camry hybrid to you know,
yes,
one of
but I
these.
was just like 47 miles per gallon, top of our ratings.
You're
awesome.
like Ms. Practicality today.
I am, because that's me. But why not another Camry hybrid? They're just so good.
Yeah.
So I would just throw that out there. I know, trying to be different. So
I fell asleep during your answer.
oh, come on. So great questions. We had a lot of fun answering today. Keep them coming. TalkingCars@iCloud.com. Any information on anything we talked about, see the show notes. So from my Mike sandwich, thanks for watching.